Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Is your mic on? I saw it light up.
It's absolutely lit up.
Excellent. All right, I'm getting an echo. Hold on. I clearly have multiple screens open. 1 second.
Just gotta mute me on the other screen.
There we go. Sorry. Streaming is
No, it's
not
all good.
it's not my forte. Hi
Streaming's
guys.
hard. No, it's hard.
Streaming is
It's hard.
hard.
It's okay.
There's lots of screens. There's
So much
there's
happening.
my favorite movie of all time is Amadeus, and there's a line where there's an opera, and the king comes up and he has a criticism, and he says, "What's the criticism?" And he says, "Too many notes," which is funny. And Mozart's like, "What notes do you want me to remove?" But that's how I feel about streaming. There's too many notes. There's lots of
It's
screens.
just too much.
Yes, but here we are. Hi,
But
Amanda.
here we are. We made it. Hi.
Allow me to introduce you and welcome everyone to the stream. Hi, this is Take This Talks. I am Dr. Rachel Kowert. I am the research director for Take This, and I host a lovely guest at the last Monday of every month. And today I have the one and only Amanda Farough. She is half of F Squared, which is a consultation service for game developers from indie to AAA. She is also the producer behind Virtual Economy Podcast, also with Mike. Yes.
Yes.
A Take This streaming ambassador.
Yes,
a
I am.
Canadian.
Oh, definitely that.
A freelance journalist, and the internet's favorite mom. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's great to have you
It's
here.
so
Is there
nice to be
anything I
here.
missed in that
No,
introduction?
I don't think I do a lot. So
You do.
thank you. I always forget how much I do, and then I'll list out the things I'm currently doing, and other people will list it out, and I'm like, girl, take a breath.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different things, but it's all kind of revolves around games. Love of
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
Love of games.
Something that we share, my dear.
Of course.
So, tell me, as we begin today's discussion, I would love to hear, I live vicariously through my guests, what have you been playing these days?
Oh goodness, you mean the things that are not redacted? I have
Yes.
been playing. I'm just looking on. I had to minimize my screen for a second. I'm like, what's on my desktop?
Yeah.
Because I mostly game on my PC these days. So I've been playing New World, which is the Amazon MMO, which has been a shockingly excellent time. I feel like the game should be terrible, but it's quite enjoyable. I've been playing that with my dad, and I've been playing that with my partners and my friends. So that's been
fun.
a blast. And we've also been playing The Ascent, which is a cyberpunk twin stick shooter. Back for Blood, which is by the folks over at Turtle Rock that brought you Left 4 Dead. And Inscription, which is the current indie hotness from Devolver Digital.
And tell me about Inscription. Is that a puzzle game? No.
I don't know how to describe Inscription, actually. It's bizarre. Just go play it.
Okay.
I can't describe it for you because it's just too weird. It's too weird.
The name intrigues me. Also, MMOs are my jam. So that is a recommendation
How did I
from
not
you.
know this?
My
goodness. I'm a huge MMO fan. Huge.
I haven't had time to play MMOs, I will say.
I wonder
in
why.
a significant amount of time. What do
I wonder why.
Just keep having children. But I
Those
do.
babies, they keep showing up.
They do. They do. I do love a good MMO. Are you? What class are you? Is your go-to?
And usually in MMOs, I will play either a tank, so a warrior of some kind, or I'll play, range damage, especially if I can play with a bow. So I'm kind of doing both in New World. I'm playing with a spear build and a bow build, and it is just bananas. I love it.
It
Absolutely
sounds
love
super
it. It's so fun. It's so fun because I get to pull enemies in and I just get to poke them.
Oh, is there anything more cathartic
Than a good
that?
poking.
Than a good,
Wait.
than a good poking. Clip
This
it.
is PG-13.
Clip it. Hi, Micropixels. Welcome. So, as we mentioned in the introduction, you have a very diverse background. I listened to one of your episodes of Virtual Economy recently where you talked about your background in computer science and kind of your experience with being a bit of the lone female in the computer science program. But for those who aren't as familiar, can you tell us kind of how your path has taken you to where you are?
To where I am? Oh, God,
Yeah.
accidentally.
Accidentally.
Honestly, accidentally. I accidentally fell into games. I have always loved games. My dad's a gamer, so I grew up with games in my house when we could have them. And I went to school thinking, well, I'm just going to make like software. I don't know if I really want to make games or not. I love code. And I was drummed out of that relatively quickly because I just didn't have the patience or the energy for a lot of the inherent sexism. And I was very young as well. So I'm like, oh, I have all these great ideas, but the only person who's listening to me is, the man who was going to become my husband.
Right.
So he was the only one listening to anything I had to say when we were working. So I was like, I don't have the energy for this. So I started my first business, and I developed websites for, oh goodness. I developed websites starting from the time I was 15, and the last website that I developed was when I was 30. So
Wow.
I spent 15 years working in web. And along the way, I went to PAX for the first time. So PAX West used to be known as PAX Prime, or just PAX. And I went to that in 2008, and I went and I listened to a panel with a bunch of incredible women that were working as writers in the industry. So whether that was games writers or working as journalists, and I was just like, is this a thing I can do? I didn't know I could do this. I thought that you had to like have a real journalism degree. Well, I can write. I've been writing my whole life. So I think it was maybe a year later, I really got the guts up to finally write my first review. And I reviewed Heavy Rain.
Oh, classic.
That was my very first review in 2010. And I submitted it to Gaming Angels, which doesn't exist anymore, not in the same way. And that was my first review. And honestly, that was it. I was in love.
Yeah.
As absolutely in love. I met so many great people in those first years then those first months rather at Gaming Angels that some of them I'm still friends with. And while I was having children at the time. I had my first child in 2011 and my second in 2012. So I mean, like, I was a baby machine apparently back then. I was just front end loading my life. I was just front end loading my life. It was fine. I'm like, I'm gonna get to my 40s and I'm gonna sail.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be easy for me, right? And get to my 40s, my kids are gonna be teenagers, no problem. We got this.
Yeah.
So at the same time as I was doing that and I was running my business, I was moonlighting as a game journalist, just as a games critic, and I started writing news. But I was doing this all for free. Like, I was doing this for game codes back in the day because I was like, there is no way I can sustain this. Because at the time, like, no one had any money. There wasn't a whole lot of money unless you were willing to work for the mainstream sites. And I'm just like, do I really want that level of visibility? Probably not.
Yeah.
I still don't really want that visibility, quite frankly. It's because it comes with a lot of baggage. So I moved through the years, not really getting paid. I worked at Loot Crate for a little while.
Fun.
With friends of mine. That was actually really fun. Those were good. Those were a good couple of years. After I'd taken a break for a couple of years to like focus on my business, focus on the kids, and then I came back after 2014 happened, and it was a very different industry after 2014. It was very, very different for me because I'd been gone for a couple of years. I was like, whoa, what did I come back to?
Yeah.
Because it was the beginning of 2015 when I came back.
Yeah.
It was, I think, February. And I started just, writing listicles and just little reviews here and there just to like get back into it. And it was in 2016 when I made the decision. I'm like, I gotta just do this. I've been toying with this for 6 years. I gotta just jump in, right? I just closed my business because I didn't want to do web anymore, not for myself. And I was working as director of operations at a small web studio, and even that wasn't working for me. So I'm just like, no, I'm gonna make the plunge. I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this for real.
Do it. Yeah.
We're gonna do this for real. So I did, and in the summer of 2016, I started writing full time.
Wow.
And I still wasn't getting paid yet. But
yeah, sure. but yes.
I was getting there. I was building to it. So in the winter of, I think it was the very beginning of 2017, I filed my very first paid work with Mashable, which was amazing. Tina Amini To this day, I thank Tina. Tina's over at IGN these days as editor-in-chief, and she's incredible. She gave me my first paid shot in this industry to write. And I will never stop being grateful to her, or to Adam Rosenberg, who is still one of my best friends, and he works at Mashable. And obviously to Mike Footer as well. You know, they're the people that really did help me get my foot in the door, so to speak. It's all about who you know and who's willing to help you network.
Yeah, you know, there's a question that I ask all the guests: is it what you know, or is it who you know? And the answer every time has been the same. You need to have a what. You need to know some things, but you also need to know the people.
The people. And we'll get to that, because like I try to do my best to make sure that whatever ladders I've climbed, that I never pull them up behind me, that I always try to pull as many people up behind me as I can, because I've been doing this for so long, you know. And I've made my own mistakes where, you know, there's pettiness and nonsense that happens around game journalism, but you know, we all grow and evolve. So 2017, I also landed my first gig as gaming editor, one of the gaming editors at Mike.com. For their soon to be launched and then soon after to be shuttered multiplayer vertical. That's messy. That whole thing was messy and traumatic. It was a great team though. Great team of people that I still talk to on a regular basis. Just stellar human beings. And then I was like really lost. When I got laid off after the pivot to video at Mike, it was really devastating. Yeah. Because that was my first job in the industry. And I was like, how am I going to come back from this? What am I going to do? So I started mentoring some of the younger writers, and I'm just like, I just want to help them. I want to help them craft pitches, and I want this industry to be so good, and I want there to be more young voices. And I don't want these young people to make the same silly choices that I made, which was to go do this work without being paid.
Yeah. That's a silly choice.
Don't do that. That is a do not do.
Yeah.
Do not do this. Definitely like make sure that you're getting paid.
Yes, that's step one.
That's step one. So, and then I ended up meeting James Brightman, who was the soon-to-be editor-in-chief at GameDaily.biz. And that was the first time I started reporting on the industry from the business perspective. And oh my goodness, it was like coming home. It was absolutely like coming home. And James is still one of my closest friends in the world. We still talk every couple of weeks. We have a beer over Zoom. You know, we're still really close buds. And it was honestly, it was some of the best work I've ever done in my career, was working at Game Daily. And we did so much weird experimental stuff, and we had so much fun, especially the news team there. Then when we were building out the news team of freelancers, it was just awesome. And one of the freelancers that I'd trained up as a news writer is now the editor-in-chief at Game Daily. So Sam Desitoff is just an incredible person. And then I was also running Super Parent at the time. So Super Parent is a very different angle. It's coming from a parenting perspective, and we talked a lot about screen time. We talked a lot about video games, about board games, toys, you know, pretty much everything that parents might want to have just a little bit more information about. And we all put it through like the lens of trying to be helpful to parents, not preaching, not being like that site that's just like, you mustn't or you must. It was always this is what you need to know. Make your own decisions. And also maybe don't let your 14-year-old child be friends with a streamer who's like 25. Maybe don't do that.
Or watch Squid Game.
Or watch Squid Game. No. I definitely don't watch Squid Game if you're young.
I saw a news story about that.
It's messed up.
I saw a parenting story today that said, no, you shouldn't let your young person watch Squid Game. No, you certainly shouldn't. So I met you because of your work at Super Parent. That's when I originally met you at PAX East, I think.
Yes, when I ran that panel.
Yes, you ran a panel and you moderated it, and it was lovely. PAX is the glue that brings us all together. I met Dr. B at PAX Prime.
I see Dr. B in there.
I see him in the chat. Hello. So you had your experience with reviews, and then you had the industry perspective, and you had the parenting bit, and all of this led you to F Squared. How?
F Squared was kind of born out of this weird desperation. Not gonna lie
to be paid.
It's not even just to be paid, but to find some work that was meaningful, because Mike and I were both it started off with the podcast, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So once I left Game Daily and Super Parent because it was eating up too much of my life and I wasn't able to draw boundaries around my time in the way that I need to, because for those that don't know, I have 4 children and I also have 3 partners. So my life is exceptionally full. Like I have so much going on a regular basis. I wasn't able to be present as a parent, and that was no longer acceptable to me. I was just like, nope. You know what? The career will always be there. My work will always be there. But these years with my littlest children especially will not.
Yeah.
So after that, I spent like a few months kind of just being like, what do I do? I don't know. And just kind of like hanging out and trying to figure out my way towards what was next. And we had been talking with a major outlet to pick up our podcast idea for Virtual Economy. And then COVID hit. Yeah. And that was it. Where our sponsorship deal went away because they had to refocus because live events are still not particularly viable. Yeah. Because of the global pandemic. And we're like, but what if we did it anyway?
Yeah. Yeah.
What if we did it anyway? And that's where it started, is it started off as us kind of like cataloging what was happening at the beginning of the pandemic in the game industry from a trend perspective and watching the trajectory go up. And now, as a result of, some post-pandemic stuff, people are starting to leave the house and doing other things. The dip. It's not a huge dip, but it's a big enough dip in comparison year over year.
Yeah.
And that kind of led us to F Squared. We're like, but what if we could share this knowledge and help businesses and studios make better choices about their games from both a consumer perspective and from a business perspective? And that's when we started F Squared. And we're just like, why not?
Yeah.
We want to help folks, man. We want to make indie games better. We want to make AAA games better. We just want to make games better.
Yeah. Don't we all? Games and gaming communities. Because I will say that I love your podcast. I'm going to open with that. I don't even really listen to too many podcasts, but I love the Virtual Economy podcast.
Thank you.
And
we do have a lot of fun on it.
You do have a lot of fun. You both you have very good banter and a vibe, for sure, as co-hosts. But the episode you did following the Blizzard Activision lawsuit was so powerful. And I could tell it was very difficult. Yeah. Yeah,
I cried.
Yeah.
Like a lot on that episode. And I was going to cut it all out, honestly, because I'm the producer. And I was just like, nobody wants to hear me sobbing on the podcast. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants me to be a total bummer. But Mike looked at me and he's like, you can't cut that.
Yeah,
it's so powerful. You talking about for me talking about my experiences as a woman in software. And like my education was great. Like, don't get me wrong. Even though I was the only young woman in my class, the guys that I went to school with were super cool. Like, they were rad and like super nice people. We would party together and they were so sweet to me. They'd always take care of me. I have nothing but good things to say about my education. But it's when I left education and I got into the real world, that I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's hard. Okay, so they don't want to listen to me because I'm a woman and because I'm young, and those are both cardinal sins.
Yeah.
Cool.
This is a great place for me to be. Dr. B, the podcast is so good. If you could link it, because I don't want to touch anything because things will move. The podcast is really good.
Thank you.
I saw I want to say it's BuzzFeed, I think, video today that popped up on my Facebook memories. And it was what it's like to be a gamer from like a girl's perspective if the gender roles were reversed. And the fact that it was still so on point, like, oh, you should come watch me play games. Oh, you play games? You don't really play games. Is this for your girlfriend, these games that you're buying? It's like gender reversed. That's what it reminds me.
The amount of times that I have had that happen to me when I played tabletop war games. I played Warhammer 40K for a number of years with my dad and my brother and my husband. That was actually when he proposed. My dad's like, so you're playing Warhammer with us, right? What's your army gonna be? These are the normal things we ask in my family. What army are
Which
you
faction?
playing?
Dr. B wants
what's
to know.
your faction?
Yeah.
Oh, I played Sisters of Battle. So nuns with guns.
Nice.
And I definitely had some sweet Space Marines also involved in that, but we'll talk about that later. I could talk about Adeptus Sororitas forever. And my husband played Eldar, my dad played Chaos Marines, my brother played Orcs.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, for the Emperor. Yeah. Dr. B knows what's up.
He does.
But every time I would go into a Games Workshop store that wasn't like my brother used to work at one. So if it wasn't my brother's, they'd be like, "Oh, are you buying this for your boyfriend?" And I'm like, "Nope. Need the flock for me. Need to flock my bases. I want them to look pretty. So if you could just point me in that direction, that'd be right."
It's so bad. You know, I went to it's a conference when in-person conferences happen, and I was at a social event following the first day, and I met a new colleague who I knew their name, they knew my name. It was our first time meeting in person. They go, "Oh, I saw you just redid your website. Did your husband do that for you?" In the same breath, and I was like, "What?"
New.
Yeah. He did because he's a web developer, but that's not the point. Okay.
That's not the point. That's something that your husband and I have in common. I used to I loved my work in web. I really did. But oh my goodness, 15 years of it. I was burnt out by the time I was 30. I'm like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But I can't say the same thing about games. I love games.
That's, I think, so critical, and why it's so heartbreaking when we see these stories like Activision Blizzard. It's like the people who work in games, I think, have a unique space in the world where it's like we love games. A lot of us love games. A lot of us love playing games. A lot of us love our gaming communities, and that's why it's all that much more heartbreaking when it's not a safe place for people to be. Yeah,
it's true. And I mean, I've been playing New World, right? And New World, for the most part, has been pretty good. I don't play with randoms all that much, but a lot of them try to friend me on New World, and I just stay away from it.
Yeah.
I just stay away from friending people I don't know. I try not to talk to people that I don't know. It's so unsafe, and it didn't used to be like that. I wasn't like that when I played like City of Heroes, when I played World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
When I played Lord of the Rings Online, you know, and girl, I could keep going. Like, I played so many MMOs.
Well, we're going to talk about World of Warcraft because that was my jam. That was my jam.
Oh, I bet. We'll have to talk about characters.
Yes.
And whether or not you were Alliance or Horde.
What do you think?
I'm not. No. That's a trap.
I was Alliance.
I was Alliance. So was I.
Of course, I'm a Hufflepuff. You think I'm Horde? No way.
No.
Were you Alliance or Horde?
No, I was Alliance too.
You were Alliance too? I would have guessed Horde. Oh my god.
No, my husband's Horde. My husband was Horde. He had a troll.
Oh,
which he loved. But he moved over to Alliance for me though. We played a couple of gnomes together.
Aw, the gnomes
I had like
so
this
cute.
tiny little gnome who had pink pigtails, and she had a giant fiery axe. She was an off tank.
Oh, amazing.
My dad was the main tank, and I was the off tank.
That's so fun. Yeah, I remember I was a balanced druid because I don't beat anybody's drum. Before balanced druids were powerful enough to really do anything good, I didn't care. I just wanted to be a moonkin, and that was the way it was.
I guess.
Yeah, Alliance. That's good memories, which makes it even more sad what's going on with Blizzard.
Yes. Absolutely.
I made a note about something you said when we were talking in the last discussion about boundaries around your time, because I think this is a really important point for people who do streaming, for content creators. Have you figured out how to have that balance around your time, like work and life? Yes? Okay, tell us your tips.
For the most part, yeah. It's taken over a decade for me to like fully figure out where work and home end. But I try to keep a relatively normalized schedule, to be honest. I no longer work evenings. I don't work weekends for the most part, but my weekends are also different. My weekends are Sunday, Monday instead of Saturday, Sunday, because I often need to work on Saturdays, either for the podcast or I have my stream on Saturdays. So I try not to schedule things on Sundays or Mondays that aren't absolutely necessary. Obviously, this is absolutely necessary.
Obviously, yes.
It's just like hair flip.
Yeah. But generally speaking, that's good advice. A regimented schedule with off times.
Absolutely. Yeah. And listen, I struggle with bipolar and with ADHD, and it's difficult to keep to a schedule. It really is, because I don't know about anybody else that has ADHD, but I get resentful of schedules like pretty easy. But I've started to I started reframing it like I think 7 or 8 years ago. Instead of it being a schedule, I just think of it as a rhythm. It's not a routine, it's a rhythm. It's a rhythm to which I move in my life. And there are some things that I can change, and there are some things that I can't. Like I can't change the kids' school stuff, so I just kind of gotta just gotta shimmy my shoulders and just like do the thing. Just gotta get into the rhythm of life, man.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much that's pretty much how I have to deal with my life. I write everything down. Everything.
I do know that. I watched your stream.
Yes. Yes, I do write everything down. And I'm meticulous about putting boundaries around my time, because I have so many people that I love, and not just my family, but my friends, my colleagues. I want to love on everybody.
Yeah.
I want to love on everybody. Absolutely. And that means I have to make room for it.
Definitely. I heard somebody say, I think it was just yesterday, if it doesn't add to my bank account or if it doesn't feed my soul, I'm not doing it. So it's also about saying no. Yeah. It's got to be one of the other.
Being rigid and I used to be so free-wielding and yeses, and I thought it was because I was a people pleaser. Yeah. But honestly, it's because I just get so excited. I just want to do everything. Yeah. And I've learned that the older that I get, that I just can't. I don't have enough hours in the day to do absolutely everything that I want to do, which is why I don't do as much freelance journalism anymore, because I just don't have time.
Yeah, you got to prioritize. Like you said, the family is the priority. Your little ones are at home. Yeah, no, I get that. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Got 4 kids. It means you got to have like big priorities.
You do. You know, today my my 6-month-old is teething, and I was laying on the floor next to him, and I have all these emails, but I was like, you know what? He won't have this cute little head forever, so I'm just going to sit here and stroke his cute little head.
Stroke the cute little head. Get those baby snuggles in, a little bit of sniff in there, because the new baby smell.
Yeah, I know, right? The new baby smell, it is a thing.
It's legit. It's legit. Any parent knows that new baby smell is legit. It's true.
That's how they con you.
That's how they get you. With their big eyes, you know, and their chonky cheeks and their little rolls. And my God, that's how they get you.
The rolls are the best part.
They are.
Okay, we're getting off on a tangent, but it's true.
That's true.
Stupid oxytocin. Oh, those beautiful neurochemicals. We talked about all the things you did, but we were remiss. We missed one of the many things you do, and that is Hit Save. Tell us about Hit Save.
Oh, yeah. So you'll notice my very giant video game collection in the background here, right? All my physical library, PlayStation games, Xbox games, and my Switch games. There's also PC games in there from way back when, because they no longer sell physical PC games. Those just don't exist anymore. Unless they just don't exist anymore. I don't even think the special edition stuff.
I don't think they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So video game preservation. So Hit Save is a video game preservation nonprofit, and it's dedicated to global video game preservation efforts. We work in partnership with a number of different organizations, including Gaming Alexandria and Farough, which is one of the most important pieces of software for preserving physical media. And we also have the initiative that I'm heading up, which is the Indie Game Preservation Project, which is how everything kind of like comes together with me as a journalist, right? I love indie games. If you've ever watched my stream here on Twitch, and that's Ready Player Mama, you will know that I am an enormous indie fan. I will play the crap out of every indie game that anyone puts in front of me. They're just like, here is this adorable indie game. And I'm like, yes, this violent, weird indie game. Excellent. Check out this narrative game that makes absolutely no sense and is completely absurd, but still wonderful. Excellent. Put it in my veins.
On it.
So the Indie Game Preservation Project was built around helping developers to tell their development stories, not just about their games, but about how their studios came to be, so that we don't lose those stories over time. Some studios have also entrusted us with things like design documents that we archive for them so that if something happens and they lose it or their business goes under or whatever, that those documents still exist, that they're preserved and they will stand the test of time.
Very cool.
And that's really, I love that work. I love Hit Save so much. When they first approached me, it was early 2020. And they're like, hey, I know you're working at Game Daily. And I'm like, about that. Currently, I'm not. Currently a free agent. And they were so excited. And Jonas Rosland, who is a dear friend of mine now, like just such a sweet human being, loves video games, loves retro games, loves preservation. And we're just completely aligned. We're completely aligned on those things and just how important it is to the health of the industry, especially in a world where, you know, physical media is not necessarily dying, but it is also not the default anymore.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I wanted to play Day of the Tentacle. We were talking about Day of the Tentacle the other day.
Good game.
Day of the Tentacle. I love that game so much. And this was a few years ago, and I was having a hard time. Well, you can't, even if you found a physical copy, I don't know how you put it in your computer. I was having a hard enough time just finding it on an emulator. So being able to have an archive of all these like smallish kinds of games, like what a gift that is to have in the future. Yeah.
And it's for future developers too. I look at it through the lens of business, and I look at it through the lens of what is going to help the future of this industry. And we keep losing knowledge, you know, not just in video game preservation, but with journalists as well. Journalists like me, where my journalism is now only on a podcast. Well, I mean, I left because there just was no chance for me to have a life as a mom and be able to maintain the quality of work that I needed to maintain. There was no way for me to do both. I had to choose one. And there's so many journalists that we've lost, game journalists, entertainment journalists, that had to make those decisions. If it doesn't pay well enough for you to bring in additional help for the kids or for you to put boundaries around your work time, then you can't stay. You have to find something else. And media is not sustainable for people that have families and people that want to maintain that balance. It sucks. But it's turned into either a single person's game or into a young person's game. And like power to every single games journalist out there who is doing their best and creating incredible work, incredible criticism, beautiful essays. I have nothing but respect for all of these journalists doing their best out there, but it's like, it sucks. They're not being paid enough. They're not being treated well. And they often have to deal with the toxicity around their audiences, especially if you are consumer facing. If you're industry facing like I was, I mean, no big deal. You're just hanging out with other developers and publishers and stuff and folks in the C-suite, which is where I'm most comfortable anyways on the business side. But the consumer side, man, that's a rough time. You get harassed, you get death threats, worse. It's awful. And they don't get paid enough for it. They really don't.
Do you think that this panel was called Evolution of Games Journalism? Do you think that the state of games journalism now was triggered in kind of a downward spiral from the events of 2014?
I think at the very least tangentially, and in some cases absolutely directly. We see fewer. There are women, there are non-binary people, there are people of color, but they are often the people that are being harassed the most as a result of the events in 2014. It was always there, absolutely. But it's absolutely one of those things that has become safe for these people to make their prejudices known, as opposed to before, where it wasn't an organized movement. It was just everything was undercurrents. I never felt unsafe before 2014. Honestly, I didn't. I would go to E3, went to E3 for the first time in 2010, and I felt safe. Felt safe writing my opinions. I felt safe like talking to people, meeting new folks. I felt safe. And when I left and I came back, it was really hard. It was hard to find that safety again, especially when I became more visible. Because the more visible you are, the less safe it is. True. And I don't ever want to go back to a consumer-facing game journalism gig, ever. And I don't ever want to be quote unquote known.
Yeah.
There's no safety there, and I have too much to lose. I've been doxxed. I've had people say horrible things to me about things that they have no business knowing, or they have no business talking to me about because they don't have the full thread of facts. And I didn't worry before I had kids. And now that I have kids, I have too much to lose. So here I am sitting on the other side. And just comfortable living a life where I can just help developers through the work
you don't find the same kind of, because we know that gaming industry can also have its cultural norms of discrimination and harassment, but you're saying from journalism side, it's far more with the consumer facing than in the industry facing.
It is. And I mean, it's not to say that I haven't had some choice words with some interesting players on the development side of the equation, but they know who I am. They know what they're getting into with me.
Right.
And if they don't like who I am, they don't engage with me for the most part. They look the other way at conferences. They look the other way with my content. They just never engage. Whereas it's very difficult to do that when you are on the consumer side of the equation, because it's just so in your face and it's algorithmic, and, you know, Far Cry 6 review, and then everything shows up, right? You Google Far Cry 6 review, and then it's just, it doesn't matter who wrote it. That person isn't a person anymore to some audiences. They're just the enemy. Yeah.
Do you think that it was mentioned in the chat, it was always there, they just have a name, it's more organized. Of course, you know, toxic cultures exist on all areas of the internet.
Oh, certainly.
Do you think, though, that in games specifically, either there's something unique happening here around games, maybe with fandoms and that sort of thing, and or do you think it's like so normalized as part of the culture, like that's just it's a part of it now?
I don't know. I think it's maybe both and neither. Like, oddly enough, treading that line.
Yeah.
I've been playing games my whole life, right? Most of my friends were gamers growing up. I was the only girl, and I was never discriminated against, ever. These guys, like, they loved me. I loved them. We had big Halo parties at my house, you know, that my dad would, like, help us string together 4 Xboxes, and we'd make Cat 5 cables, and it was, you know, my mom would order pizza and she'd make cookies. Like, that was my life when I was a teenager. And I never had those kinds of issues with discrimination back then. Even when I went and I started playing online games, my dad was always right there. Like, always right there. And then when it wasn't my dad, it was my husband who was right there. When I started working in game journalism, I was okay. And then when I came back, I wasn't. Because it was a completely different place where it's just like, if you're not a guy, or you're not a guy of a specific archetype, then you were the enemy. Even though I'm like, I've been here the whole time, friendos.
I just took a hiatus.
Like, this is, I've always been here. I think, you know, if we think back to what happened to a lot of us when we were kids, if we didn't have that support network, you know, nerddom in general, so whether that's comics or tabletop RPGs, board games, video games, we were all maligned for that. It made us nerds. It made us outcasts. It made us unpopular within the social structures of our lives. And that it could have bred resentment. It didn't with me, because I'm like, I don't care. Like, what do I care what other people think of me? I don't care. That's why I'm still on the internet. Right? If I put too much stock into what people think of me, I mean, I'd never do anything again. I would just hide. So I think it really is both and neither. It's like, it's so complicated and it's so nuanced, and it's no one thing to blame. But I think that if gaming were taken seriously as something that was totally normal to love, that it was okay, that, parents said it was okay, other kids said it was okay to just play video games before it was mainstream, and we didn't get harassed about it, maybe it wouldn't have been bred into our cultural structures that it's only for the outcasts or it's only for the weirdos.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I am an outcast, I am a weirdo,
Yeah.
but I'm also now a parent to gamers,
Yeah.
you know?
Weirdos and outcasts unite.
Yeah.
Yeah, but part of me wonders, because I've written research about the stereotype of gamers before, and when I started going down that rabbit hole,
I love that.
Thanks.
I'm
glad someone reads my
things. I just want to tell you, I'm your biggest fan.
You're so
I
sweet.
think you're so smart.
So oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Gosh, Amanda. When I started researching the stereotype, I found really interesting is because it started with arcade gamers in the late 1970s, and it was very much, we're the outcasts, and we're going to this place, and it's dimly lit, and the popcorn's overpriced, but we're going to band together because we all share this love of games. So. Sure. When did the trajectory?
Sounds like my dad and his friends.
Right? I also grew up in a small town in Texas that had an arcade. Even in the 90s. I miss
arcades, yo.
I know. And we bought overpriced popcorn and we all banded together.
Of course.
Well, when did it? In my mind, I don't actually know. It's just a hypothesis I'm throwing out there. You tell me what you think. Did it shift to? You don't fit the right mold and you aren't good enough to be here when games became mainstream, and it was just another place for us like social outcasts to be like, nah, off you go.
Honestly, I think that's probably part of it. It's like, well, you didn't grow up with this and you weren't made fun of for liking video games or being weird. You play football and you're popular and you look totally normal and you have a totally normal life, and it all comes down to safety, right? And we feel safest in the places that are most comfortable.
Yeah.
And if those comfortable spaces are changing to include more or different people, you have two choices. You can accept the change and welcome it with open arms, or you can rail against it and say, no, not in my space. This isn't okay. I'm not comfortable with this.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, and I just had I hear what you're saying, Gaiman. Well, think about how people define themselves. I just had a flashback memory of cyber cafes. Oh my God, I'm old.
Oh man, I had one of those actually across the street from where I used to live in Vancouver.
Oh my
gosh.
Like
literally across the street, and it was still functioning as of the 4 years ago when I left.
No, was it?
No, I'm not kidding. Kidding. It actually did have it. It was an internet cafe as well.
Wow. That is well. I know they still exist, but that's wild.
Not so much in North America.
I was going to say it's other parts of the world, right? It's really popular still. So what would you say then? What would you like to see change in games journalism besides getting paid more, which we know is definitely a thing?
I think that balance is another one for game journalists. I'd love to see game journalists be able to take their time with games, to have longer embargoes, so that they're not always competing with themselves or with other outlets to hit that mark of day one. I have to have this done because if we don't, we're going to lose traffic. But in order for that to change, the way that we make money from media has to change. That's the big one, is in order for game journalists to be treated better, to be lauded for the work that they do, rightfully lauded for the work that they do. And I'm not putting myself in that same category anymore because I'm not on the consumer side, so I don't crunch for game reviews. But I know so many people that do. And if they were given more time and they were given, more resources, they wouldn't be burnt out. They wouldn't have to leave the industry. We wouldn't have as much brain drain as we have within game journalism, where we don't see a ton of journalists over the age of 40. There just aren't a ton, right? Let alone women who are over the age of 40, or non-men rather, who are over the age of 40 working as game journalists. So the system itself has to change. How we make money from media has to change. And I don't know what that solution is. Some of it's in subscriptions, some of it's in, in merchandising and in live events and stuff like that. But it's so hard. It's so hard. And game journalists work so hard, especially on the consumer side, and they just get very little respect and very little love, which, in turn creates people that are just, they feel unloved and they feel bitter and frustrated and angry. And that's how we end up with infighting from time to time. Goodness knows I was part of that back in the day, where I was just angry and upset at the state of things. And I took it out on the wrong people. And I'll always regret being that person, but I'm not that person anymore because I got to step away and get some additional perspective. And I have I had the privilege to do that. And not everybody does. Everybody else is still hustling because they're not paid enough, because they're not respected, because the system is broken. And I wish there was an easy solution where I could just wave my magic wand and be like, poof, you make $100,000 a year.
Yeah. Enjoy your and paid vacation.
And paid vacation, and also embargoes are going to work in your favor. It's going to be great. You deserve the moon.
What I find really interesting too is that the things that you're discussing are echoed in the game industry generally. Like burnout, and a lot of people don't stay in the industry for a certain more than 10 years, right? There's a lot of cycling.
It's horrible.
Yeah. So it's a systemic.
It is.
It's a systemic issue.
It's built on the passion of the people.
It is.
Right? We all love games. There's not a single game journalist, critic, game maker that I know that doesn't love games in one way, shape, or form, whether that's making games or writing about them or working on them or playing them as content creators. We all love games.
Yeah.
We all want to see the industry be better. But just like Dr. B said, that passion is weaponized. That's how we end up with burnout, because we have people that are being pushed to their limits, either making the games or writing about them or critiquing them or building content around them. And there's no balance, because it's just like, oh, you're not passionate enough. I have somebody who could take your job.
I got 100 people.
I got 100 people over here who could take your job. And the amount of times that no one's ever said that to me, but I have heard people tell that story. About how it's just, it doesn't matter. They don't matter. They're just just another number, but they do matter. Their perspectives matter. Their passion matters. Yeah.
When I was reading about Cyberpunk, the developers on Cyberpunk, and how they were working 100-hour weeks for like 2 years.
That's horrible.
What?
I love it. I love that, because CD Projekt is just like, no, we won't crunch them.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. No,
Fool me twice. Shame on me.
Only twice. Only for 2 years. No big deal.
No, I'm serious. Like when they came out after they first announced Cyberpunk 2077, they're like, we won't crunch our people. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so great. CD Projekt is known for crunching their people. Yeah. And then they just did it anyway. It's just like,
it's systemic. It's systemic.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It doesn't matter if you make games or you write about games or build content around games. It's just, your passion is weaponized in one way, shape, or form. And all I want for content creators, for journalists, for game makers of all kinds, is to be able to set boundaries and feel safe to set boundaries around time and around what they're compensated. Yeah. Because it matters. It matters. And so many young people especially are just manipulated and harmed as a result of a broken set of systems. Yeah, because they enthusiastically just want to make games. I was.
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't care. I don't need to be paid. I just want to write about games, right? Like, it didn't matter to me. And then I was like, I'm not taking this serious enough. I'm just a hobbyist. I want to get paid for this. I'm a decent writer.
Absolutely. You're a great writer. Please, you're fantastic. Hire her, anyone watching. So I was going to ask one piece of advice for those who want to pursue a job in games, whether it be development, consultation, or journalism, but I think you just gave me that advice. Set boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, set boundaries for yourself and know your worth. Yeah. Know that you are worth more than what other people don't pay you, quite frankly. If you're going to work for free, that's reasonable. Work for free for a little while. Build your portfolio, whether that's working in development or not, but don't work for other people. Work for yourself. Build your portfolio on your own website. For yourself. Build your own games. Do your own content. Do it for you. Do it for your own heart. Do it for your own soul. and then take that portfolio with you and start applying for other work, whether that's freelance pitching. Pitch Jam is fantastic through Good Games Writing. I've participated in that as an advisor. It's so fantastic. So if you're not sure how to pitch big editors, watch out for that on Good Games Writing on Twitter. I don't know if they're still hosting it, but they did for a number of years. And start networking. Doesn't matter where you are in the game industry, just start talking to people. Start like lapping up their words and build connections that are genuine. Make friends.
Make friends.
Know?
Yeah. Not the forced networking. Like, oh, that's the editor-in-chief. I'm gonna go. Just make friends. Yeah.
No, just make friends. Like, talk to them, get into idle banter and chit chat, introduce yourself when events come back, and let them know, you love their work and you're deeply appreciative of what they do in the industry. Like, all writers, all creators love to hear that they're making an impact.
Yes.
And if you can lead with that kindness, it just makes everything so much better.
Absolutely.
So tell your favorite content creator today that you love their content.
That you love them. Yes, tell them. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Good business relationships are actually relationships. Indeed.
It's true.
Yes, and you never know. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, my friend.
Gonna say you never know what opportunities might arise. You don't make relationships for opportunities, but you just meet people, and you never know what might come out of it. I mean, I got my postdoc at the University of Munster not because I knew the guy. I did know the guy, but I didn't look to seek to become a friend with someone who was running the lab. I just networked with everybody, and then when a job opened, they said, "Hey, I remember you. You talked to me over." Stale sandwiches at this one conference. This is up your alley. Do you want to come over here? So, yeah.
That's totally that's how I built my career. And like I said, I will never stop being grateful to Tina, to Adam, to Mike, and everyone that helped me out in those early days, to Candace as well. Candace Shane, she was my editor for a number of years. I don't think I would be in this industry anymore if not for Candace. So, like, be humble. Say thank you.
Yeah.
And never pull that ladder up behind you.
Yeah.
Always pull people up behind you. Make sure that you are never closing doors for others, that you're always keeping them open. That's how we create diversity in this industry, not just like with a bunch of white women, but with non-men, with non-binary folks or agender folks, or with people of color, especially. This industry, whether that's on the criticism side or that's in the industry itself, we deserve diverse games. We deserve diverse perspectives. And the only way we do that is for the people who come in first to let that ladder back down or to never pull it up to begin with.
Absolutely. Preach. Diverse games, diverse communities make better games.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Better communities, all that stuff.
All of it. 100%.
All right.
And that's the sip.
Yeah, that is. I know. I'm going to leave it on that note because that was a great note to leave it on. If you have any questions for my guests, please write the word question in all capitals so I will see it in the chat. I'm going to get my little tin of questions because my favorite part of streaming is we get to play a little game, Amanda. A little game. It's called 10 Things I Want to Know About You.
What a throwback.
It's a throwback because Heath Ledger is life, and I love that movie. My daughter helped me make this beautiful tin. We crafted it together.
It's beauty.
Maybe a Christmas cookie tin.
Doesn't matter. It just has sparkles on it. It's beautiful.
It does. It's beautiful. It's full of questions, random questions. I will draw 10.
I love it.
Okay.
Cool. I will answer anything.
Okay, well, if there's anything you don't want to answer, they're pretty much like, what's your favorite ice cream?
I'm an open book anyway, so it's fine.
You're an open book. Okay, but you can pass, and I'll draw a new one. Should something happen. Okay.
I sincerely doubt it, but okay.
You never know.
Never know.
All right, Amanda, let's learn about you. 10 things we've always didn't know we ever always wanted to know about Amanda. Here we go. What is your favorite annual holiday?
Christmas, but also Halloween. Because, of course,
what are you doing for Halloween this year? I know you have costumes. I follow you on Twitter. You don't have to tell me what they are, but are you doing like family-themed costumes?
So we are. I'm doing a themed costume with Mike. Last year I was a vampire. The year before I was Morticia Adams.
Oh, fun.
Year before that, I was Diva
Oh,
from
nice.
Overwatch, which was lots of fun. But yeah, so I'm doing another costume this year based on a very, very popular and wholesome television show.
Oh, that's exciting. I love
Mhm.
Halloween, and I
I love
force my
Halloween too.
children into themed costumes every year.
Gabe and Viv
Uh,
are doing Star Wars this year. Vivian is doing like this adorable Darth Vader costume that has a skirt. She's
oh,
so excited. She's
cute.
like, I'm gonna be a girly Darth Vader.
Do
And
it.
I'm like, I love this for you. And Gabe's
Yeah.
gonna be Boba Fett, and he has a little stuffed Jawa
Oh, cute.
that plays the Mandalorian theme song. So he
Oh,
did a Build-A-Bear. It was awesome.
that's
So we're gonna
amazing.
so they're gonna do that. I was gonna go as General Organa, but I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find a good costume.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, I ran out of time. So I'm going as my wholesome
Yeah.
television self instead.
Well, that's exciting. We did
Mhm.
Star Wars 2 years ago when my son was 2, so he was Yoda because he
Of
was like
course.
the perfect age.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my daughter was Ray, and she was very excited about it. But this
I
year is a
asked
Harry
Vivi if
Potter.
she wanted to be Ray. I
Yeah.
asked her. I was just like, "Sweetie, do you want to be Ray? Ray's super powerful." She's like, "No, I am going to be Darth Vader."
Well, here's
And
the
I'm like,
thing.
"Okay, powerful Sith Lord it is."
It is. I mean, that's a good choice. Also, I like the gender bending
Oh
costume
yeah, that's Vivi
always.
for you, 100%.
Um, my son now, though, the one who I got as Yoda while he was still compliant, he's 4 now. He's not as compliant. He always wants to be the bad guy. So I get it. Maybe she
Okay,
just
yeah.
likes to be the bad guy. Like,
Maybe she just likes to be the bad guy. That's
yeah,
fine.
it's fine. It's allowed.
She's such a sweet girl, so it's just like it's fine. You just do
Yeah,
whatever you want.
it's Halloween. She's gonna, flip the personality and be the bad guy.
Absolutely.
Question number 2.
Mm.
What is one place that you would love to visit?
Home.
No, I know.
Honestly, if I'm gonna be like sappy and sentimental, I have not
Yeah.
been back to Vancouver in 4 years. Little over 4 years now. So if there is one place in the world that I would really, 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 really like to go, it's home. I'd like to go home. And I can't go home yet,
Soon.
but I will be able
Soon.
to go home soon. Yep.
They're opening the land border soon. So that's
Soon,
step 1.
soon. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
Sorry. I didn't mean to be a bummer, but it's sweet.
No, we like honest answers here. This says, check your phone. What is your most used emoji?
Oh, I can already tell you that. I'm
Okay, do you know?
pretty sure it's the Purple Heart.
Mine
is.
is the purple heart.
Yeah,
Amanda.
it's the Purple Heart.
For God's sake.
It's the Purple Heart followed by the laughing, crying face.
The laughing, that classic. Mine is also,
Because I laugh at everything. I think everything's very funny.
I think we're the same person. The same
I'm
person
good with that.
in 2 bodies. Yeah, I know, me too.
I love it.
What do you like to listen to?
Oh, it depends on what I'm doing.
Mm.
When I'm getting ready in the morning, so when I'm putting my face on in the
Mhm.
morning, I
I
like
like
to
your
listen to
beautiful
scary
face.
murder podcasts because I
That's not what I was going to say. Okay.
no, I do. It's true though. I love really terrifying true crime stuff. So I listen to that in the morning when I'm getting ready. When I am working or I'm writing, I listen to lo-fi usually. I have this video game lo-fi playlist that I just adore on Spotify.
Cool.
So that's my go-to when I'm writing. And what else do I like listening to? And I love pop music of all kinds. I love pop music. I love folk music. I don't know. I love pretty much anything that isn't like twangy country. I'll even listen to death metal. So,
So a
I
little
mean,
bit
there
of
isn't too
everything.
much music out there that I don't like, except for twangy country, which I despise because I grew up on it.
I know that you're not from Alberta. You grew up on twangy
No.
country.
I did, but I grew up in a very conservative town in the Rocky Mountains in British Columbia.
Yeah.
So, yeah, most of my friends loved country music and I hated it.
Yeah, I feel you. I grew up in
Hated it.
Texas. I understand.
Well, you know.
One thing you also love is musicals.
I do love musicals.
Yeah.
I've seen many Broadway musicals since I moved to the New York area.
Yeah,
And
I
let me
bet.
tell you, that is the best part of living here is that I can be in the
Yeah.
city in an hour and I can be in a show in like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
amazing.
great. I can't
Yeah.
wait. My parents are coming to visit and I'm still like trying to pick out the shows I want to take them to.
Well, Hamilton's back on tour. I don't know if it's up there.
It's still on Broadway. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Very cool. I'm going to see it when it comes here to my town.
I'm looking forward to you telling me all about it so that we can talk about it, because I've seen it too. Wonderful.
I've only seen one musical live, and it was very happenstance. I was living in England at the time with no kids, and my husband was living in California. He's my boyfriend at the time. And he was going to come visit, and I said, how about instead of you coming to England, because you've been here a million times, let's meet in New York, because neither one of us had ever been to New York. So we met in New York, and I'm a huge Green Day fan, anyone who knows me.
I love this.
Green Day musical was on Broadway, off-Broadway, American Idiot. Yes, so we went.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
And the guy who plays St. Jimmy happened to be ill, so the lead singer of Green Day was filling in. And I had like third row seats.
Oh my gosh.
It was amazing.
Amazing. Did you die a little?
A little. My heart was palpitating, for sure.
Oh, I bet.
For sure. So that was very exciting. Yeah.
That's amazing. The very first musical I ever saw on Broadway was The Lion King.
Oh, that's classic though.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was my husband chooses for us because he's a big musical guy. I did that. That's my fault. He's a big musical guy. I actually, when I met him and we first started talking, we ended up watching Rent. And I was just like, you gotta watch this because I think you're gonna like it. And he's like, musicals? Not everything is The Sound of Music. I'm like, no, darling, not everything is Julie Andrews. Also, The Sound of Music is fabulous.
Yeah.
So
what you getting at, Mike?
Yeah. What are you doing?
That's awesome. So you saw Hamilton on Broadway?
I did. All four of us did. We did that after my husband bought us all tickets as a celebration for, I believe, our Quad Squad anniversary, because the four of us have an anniversary together. So
that's
really
awesome.
Nice.
Oh, that's lovely. That's lovely. We will compare notes. This is a controversial question. So
bring it.
Every once in a while, we have controversy. What are your thoughts on pineapple on pizza?
I love it.
No!
Yes.
I hate pineapple generally.
To each their own. 100%.
100%. 100%. We'll split it. We'll get pineapple on half and no pineapple on the other half.
That's totally fine. That's what we do with our American family. Like, my husband loves ham and pineapple pizza. I do too. Gabriel, our son, does. But Vivi's like, ugh. She's like, I'll eat the pepperoni, I guess.
Yes.
But I will
Vivi
not
and I will share half
on my pizza.
No. I only like pineapple and pina coladas. That's pretty much.
That's fair. Yeah. I just really love pineapple. It's delicious.
Yeah. It's something about. Do you know what I read? Speaking of pineapple, just the other day, pineapple's got some kind of chemical in it. Don't quote me on this, but I did read it. That like kills taste buds on your tongue.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, it eats you. See? Game One well knows. There's something in pineapple.
Pineapple eats you.
It does. And it's the only fruit. We need a shirt that says that. It's the only fruit that does it.
Pineapple.
They're eating you back. Vindictive.
It bites back.
I'm so glad you're here,
I'll
Manuel.
allow it.
Yeah, to support me. Yes, it breaks down your proteins. Yeah. Wild. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Who do you race with in Mario Kart? Who's your go-to?
Ooh. So usually, again, it depends on context. If I'm playing with the kids, I'm playing as a shy guy because we have a thing in our house where we only race as shy guys. So I will play as light blue shy guy. He's my guy. And Vivi will play as pink shy guy. And Gabe will play as dark blue shy guy? Green shy guy? Orange shy guy. And my husband will just play whatever shy guy is left over. If it's not with the children and we are not playing together, usually I will choose Cat Peach. She's my favorite.
Cat Peach is a fine choice. She's a fine choice. I'm a Yoshi.
Oh, well, before I could play as Cat Peach, I was exclusively Yoshi.
Okay, yes. They're the same person. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yoshi
that's
all
okay.
the way.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cat or dog?
Dog. I have two.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a schnoodle, and I have every vicious dog breed ever in one dog, which makes her entirely inert. She's not vicious. She's the sweetest, gentlest little creature, and I just love her to bits. She's dumb as hell. but she's beautiful and sweet, and she just loves everybody, and she's like, come here, one love me.
Aww. What's her name? What are your dog's names?
Ash. So the schnoodle's name is Rex, after Rex Urdnot from Mass Effect 2.
Nice.
Of course. Every time I say his name, I expect him to yell back Shepherd at me, but he never does. It's very upsetting.
Yeah.
And Ash is named after Ash from Evil Dead.
Oh, very cool. I had
our nerd dogs.
I had a dog that I wanted to name Balthier. I know, but I did not get to name. I ended up getting a girl dog, so I didn't name her Balthier. But then I got a boy dog later, but I couldn't name him Balthier because that was my name for the other dog, so I named him Sid. I just have Final Fantasy names.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Sid is everywhere and nowhere at once.
You know, that's a good way to describe him. He is everywhere.
Is it Sid?
Sid is the best.
That's
what kind of... Oh, it's funny. I will say, my dog now doesn't live here anymore. My dog was rehomed. It's a sad, long story. But I found a wonderful family that he now lives with, and they thought he was named after El Cid. I was
no. That's cute.
you need to read up on your Final Fantasy. Anyway. What kind of birthday cake do you like? I need to know, so when I come for your birthday party, I'll know what to bring.
Wow. I had the most exceptional birthday cake this year. It was a lemon raspberry cake, I believe, and it was incredible. I had the most amazing birthday this year for my 35th birthday. I wish I could have had like all my friends here, flown them in from all over the continent. Like that would have been amazing. I'll do that for 40 though.
There you go.
Do that for 40. It'll be fine. But it was great. It was such a wonderful cake. Because my birthday's in the summer, so I'm an August baby. So I used to love getting ice cream cakes for my birthday, like when I was little, because I loved that. Like, who doesn't like a DQ cake?
Oh, right? They're the best.
Who doesn't
they're so big. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
You can eat them forever. They're so amazing. So I get my my 2 kids that are born in July. They get ice cream cakes, which means Mama gets ice cream cakes.
I guess.
We all know.
Absolutely.
So now I like just like fruity cakes for my birthday because they're nice and fresh and they're summery. They go nicely with my summer beer. So,
definitely. A lemon cake.
I love it. Oh yeah. So I had this wonderful lemon raspberry cake, and for Danielle's birthday, we got a mint chocolate chip for her birthday.
Wait, ice cream cake?
No. It was actually like it was a cupcake cake.
Oh, cool.
It was great.
Was it the mint chocolate was the frosting?
The mint chocolate was actually the batter.
The cake?
With a buttercream,
I'm
chocolate
intrigued.
buttercream frosting. It was incredible.
It sounds good.
Yeah, loved it.
I have the same cake every year on my birthday. I only eat it once a year because I think it must be, 2,700 calories per slice. But it's a German chocolate
Calories
cake.
Don't count on your birthday.
They don't count. That's why I have it on my birthday. But I'm a September baby, so it is kind of weird. Although in Canada it's hit or miss. It can be kind of cool because it's like a really heavy chocolate. Nuts.
No, it works.
Coconut.
It totally works.
Does it?
For Mike's birthday every year, Danielle and I make him a Black Forest cake.
Oh, I do like a Black Forest cake.
I wish I could make it with kirsch, but our daughter our eldest daughter, Grace, is allergic to cherries. So we're like, can't
what
make
do you make
it
with?
realsies. Strawberries.
Oh, okay. Still good.
Still great.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man. And I make it from scratch now. I make it from scratch every year.
What can't you do?
Oh, lots. Complex mathematical equations, for one. I can list off the things I can't do. There are many.
Well, I got you covered with the math. See, we'll just combine. We will become one super person.
Yeah, unfortunately, I am, in fact, not a math gay. So.
No, that's okay. I'll allow it. You can't do everything.
No, I can't. I really can't.
What is one word that you love using? Do you have a word you like using?
Well, aside from my own slang, also I gotta like refocus my camera. Come on, focus. There we go. Aside from my own like random everyday slang, probably my most favorite word to use whenever I have the chance to use it is mellifluous.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yep.
Can you work that into conversation often?
No, not often, but I do find ways to work it in from time to time.
Yeah.
Anytime I get a chance to talk about
that's a good one.
a great control structure, believe it or not. I won't do it in a report, but when I'm talking to Mike, I'll be like, Mike, this is so smooth. It's mellifluous. It's like, Amanda. You're such a dork. That's true. I know I am. No, it's awesome. Fine. I own it, man. Good. I own it.
Where's Dr. B? He's got some fun. What's the word he always uses? Behoove. He uses that word a lot. Behoove. It's a good one.
Another good one.
It's a good one.
Absolutely.
He works that in pretty often.
Perseverate is a word we use in this house very often. Can you tell that I am in a relationship with a neurologist? How to tell people that you're in a relationship with a neurologist without telling people you're in a relationship with a neurologist.
That's in your normal vernacular.
My wife, that is a normal thing for us to say. It's like, Amanda, you're emotionally perseverating. Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That's the opposite of what I want. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
On this.
That's
okay,
hilarious.
Thank you. Thanks for the feedback.
That's so funny. I want to meet your wife. She sounds awesome.
She's amazing.
Oh, here we go. Let's learn about your heart. Oh. Do you have a celebrity crush? Everyone knows mine, but
oh my goodness. Well, I am chaotically bisexual, so I have two.
Oh yeah, you're allowed. I'll allow it.
Oh, I absolutely. Gillian Anderson is my biggest celebrity crush. Then, now, and always. Then, now, and always. Honestly, and Idris Elba.
Fine choice.
Legit. Also, Idris that voice, I could just crumble into his voice. I'm just like, I'm melting now. Don't mind me.
Did you like Jillian Anderson in The Crown? I thought she was excellent. Did you watch The Crown?
She was incredible as the Iron Lady. She really was.
She was
and
so good.
I despise Margaret Thatcher as a Canadian. Yeah. So, but I've loved her. Yeah, I've loved her since the 90s when she was Scully.
Oh yeah.
And I, of course, like in the 90s, I was a kid. So I'm like, I didn't know I was bisexual back then. I was just like, oh, she's just so pretty and I want to be her. And then I learned later, I was like, no, I want to actually like be with her. I didn't know, man. So yeah.
It's like that
up here.
That meme that goes around about like how you know you're bisexual is from watching The Mummy.
Because yes. And also I went back and I watched it and I'm like, it's true.
That's funny.
Which one is your crush? Yes.
Yes.
The answer is yes, all of them. Thank you.
That's funny. Okay, last question. What did you eat for breakfast this morning? Are you a breakfast kind of gal?
Yeah, I wake up hungry. So I ate a bowl of cereal with my coffee.
What cereal?
I had Reese Puffs.
Oh, fine. Good choice. Good choice. I will
Yesterday I had
fully endorse sugar cereal.
I had a wonderful egg sandwich that Mike made for me on a lightly buttered English muffin, which was incredible. And he always makes my egg just the way I like it.
Oh, that sounds so nice.
Dr. B, what is your favorite Final Fantasy game? Why is it Final Fantasy VI? Final Fantasy VI is inarguably the best Final Fantasy game, but my favorite Final Fantasy game is Final Fantasy X.
I didn't think I could love you more. And yet, here we are. 6 is obviously the best. I remember when 10 came out.
Inarguably the best.
And putting in the disc. Did you
cry? Because I cried.
I was so moved by the voice acting. I was like, this is a game changer. It's the changing of games forever.
Yuna's first send, when she sent those souls.
Oh, I know the dance.
I legitimately cried. I was like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in a video game in my entire life. And for context, for those that don't know, Final Fantasy X came out legitimately 20 years ago. Okay,
we could have lived without that piece of
knowledge. It's okay. If I have to live with it, everyone has to live with it. Additionally, I love Final Fantasy IV. Final Fantasy IV is my second favorite Final Fantasy game.
But we're 6 on this list. Okay.
6 is in spot 3.
Okay.
Because I do love it. It is the best Final Fantasy game. But
4 is very good too. Yes. 6 is very good.
I love Rydia and like Tella. Oh my god, I used to call myself a spoony bard all the time.
Amazing. I think Dr. B also loves Final Fantasy IV. He has talked about it.
This is how we're all friends.
At length. It is. It is. And when you say I cried, it reminds me of the line in 10. You cried. You cried. I remember. You cried. Yeah.
I know, right?
But who's your favorite character in 10?
Well, the character that I cosplayed as several years ago, of course. Lulu.
Lulu. I was like, you had to have cosplayed as Lulu. Lulu
Absolutely.
is fabulously snarky. Oren, though, I wanted to name my son, both of them, Oren, and my husband wouldn't let me.
Oh, man. That's a bummer.
That
would have been super
agree.
Cool.
I know.
You know what, though? I named Gabriel, my son, not after Gabriel the angel, because we are not religious in this house. No offense for folks that are religious. That's totally cool, and, like, there's no shaming here. But I named him after Gabriel Knight.
Nice. See? But your husband will let you do that. Although, my oldest son, his middle name is Phoenix, so I snuck that one in.
That's super cool, though.
It's pretty cool.
Like, that's awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
And Vivian, my youngest, is named after Vivian Westwood, the
that's cool
designer.
Yes.
So she has a big name, but she's a big person.
Yeah. Yeah. She's awesome. She loves my books, so we love her.
Oh, we clearly have some stories here. Not for the stream, though.
Oh, okay. We can talk about them. Any other questions? Final Fantasy or journalism or any other...
whatever. Or even about my family. I'm an open book about my Pollyanna
family, about Canada. What are your thoughts on... how do you pronounce the word Poutine?
Poutine.
See, I am a transplant to your native land, and I came here and I called it poutine, and everyone here calls it poutine. Is that like a west versus east thing?
It's a west versus east thing.
Is it? Okay.
It is. It's a dialect thing. When you're not, when you don't grow up, like I speak French, albeit badly,
right?
But I speak it. So, but on the West Coast, like the dialect is completely different. The accent is completely different. Mm-hmm. You can't hear my Canadian accent anymore because I squashed it 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. But you get me like a handful of beers in me and I start yelling at hockey and I turn into an old Canadian man.
Put a poutine in front of you.
Oh no, that's it for me, man. That's it. That's it.
We came to
we're going for it, ya hosers.
Oh, there you go. There you go. When we came to visit, before we moved here, we went to a diner downtown. It turned out to be one of the best places to get poutine in the city. We didn't know, but I saw it on the menu and I was like, that sounds horrid. For those who don't know, it's not horrid. It's divine.
It's not. It is the elixir of the gods.
It's fries with cheese curds and brown gravy, and it's
squeakier the better.
My God! And then I got the breakfast with the egg on top.
Oh, pulled pork poutine.
Oh yeah, I took Dr. Oh, that sounds amazing. I did take Dr. B to that place. I forgot. Yeah, pulled pork. Yeah. I had Thanksgiving poutine the other day.
That sounds amazing. Oh
with turkey and cranberries.
So bad.
Yeah, it was very good. And I
gotta go get in my car, green card or not. I gotta go.
Well, the chip trucks are closing now for winter, so you'll have to come in the summer.
Clearly. Oh man, but yeah, there are so many things I miss about home. One of them is the maple syrup. The other one is the poutine, and the third is the excellent craft beer in Vancouver. Vancouver's craft beer scene is incredible, and I miss Granville Island Brewery most of all.
Yeah, Canada. I mean, the craft beer. I don't drink beer, but my husband does. But like at the LCBO, like on every corner, they have tons of craft beer from across the country. It's pretty incredible.
It's so cool, and it's one of the things I really do miss. Like, the craft beer where we live is really, really good, but it's not the stuff I want a lot of the time. Like, I want the winter ale from Granville Island, and in the summertime, I want the Kitsilano ale, and, you know, it's just the things that you don't realize that you'll miss when you move away.
Yeah, it's the taste of home. I mean, like, I miss barbecue.
Yeah, Canada doesn't do barbecue very well.
It's not the same. There is a restaurant called Lone Star here. It's Tex-Mex. It's fajitas. It's fine. It's not Tex-Mex.
Sure. No, it's not. Anything north of the 49th, like you can't get
good luck.
Mexican food. You can't get barbecue. Like
no.
Or any kind of American food in general. Like I didn't even know what grits were before I moved here. It's just not something that I'd ever had. You know, but Dee and I went to a bed and breakfast in Pennsylvania a handful of years ago, and she's like, "Do you want some grits?" And I'm like, "What's grits, precious?" I didn't know what the heck they were. I was like, "It's like cream of wheat? Like I don't understand."
Yeah.
And like, all these years later, I'm just like, of course I'll have grits. Yeah, I'll have shrimp in my grits. It sounds great.
I was gonna say shrimp and grits is so good.
Shrimp and grits, man.
Yeah, I think I'd have a hard time. I am fully acclimated to Canada. I love it here very much. I think I would have a hard time leaving the food. I gotta be honest. I would have a hard time.
Yep. That's one of the things I really do. Yeah, no, Dr. B's right. Absolutely. Yeah. First time in Vancouver, I thought I'll get a burrito. That's a safe bet. Can't mess up a burrito. Never get Mexican food in Vancouver. You know what you go get instead? You know what you go get instead? You get Ethiopian food. There is a great Ethiopian place that's on Cambie Street, right near West Hastings. And it is awesome. It might be Cordova, actually. In between Cordova and Hastings. On Cambie Street, there's an Ethiopian restaurant. I don't remember what it was, but I've been to it like 4 times. If it's still open, screw everything else. Go for Ethiopia.
Just go there. Speaking of food, my talks always end up on food, but we were talking about GDC earlier.
Yes.
I'm going to GDC, you're going to GDC, Dr. B's going to GDC. Dr. B's got the skinny on the best pizza on the West Coast.
Oh,
and he has promised.
I have opinions on pizza now, though.
Wow.
I live in the New York area.
In the
I have
world.
Opinions on pizza.
In the world.
In
Amanda.
the world? Mind blown. You're gonna have to take me and Mike because he doesn't think that great pizza exists outside of like Italy or New York.
Or New York. Okay. Well, there you have it, folks. GDC. We have a pizza date.
For it. We're gonna record it. That's going on Instagram.
Oh, for sure. Napoli World Pizza. Yeah, that's what it was. World Pizza Championship winner. All right.
Oh, there we go. That's saying
has something. A high standard.
That's huge, man. We're going. It's happening. You guys will have to come on the podcast. You'll have to come on Virtual Economy, and we'll have a drink and we'll record it. Sounds
Talk
awesome.
about pizza. Yeah. Sold. Yes. That is an easy sell. Thank you for being here with me, for giving me your Monday night.
Of course. I am so delighted. I'm so delighted to do this with you. Anytime that I get the chance to spend with Take This, and with you especially. Oh. I'm so glad to do it. Nice. I miss all of you very, very much at Take This. I haven't seen you all in 2 years, so
I know.
It'd be nice to reconnect at GDC.
It will. We are very much looking forward to it. Until next time, next week, come back here, same time. Dr. B will be playing something. I'm not sure. Maybe Boyfriend Dungeon. That's been fun. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Boyfriend Dungeon is a hit.
I love Boyfriend Dungeon.
My favorite game of the year.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. Good night, everybody, and we will see you next time.